Hi, everyone. Look at me. I am on time and I am here. So, if you're here with me, welcome. Welcome to the Quest show. Yeah, look at this. I think this is 5 weeks in a row. There's a lot going on this week. But before we get into all of the stuff that's going on, let's just get uh through some formalities. So the first formality is please like, share, and subscribe. Do that. We got to get that out the way. You see it scrolling down the bottom. So just, hit that like button. Share it to some people if you like. Even if you don't like, share it because I'd appreciate it. And subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. And also, the next formality is you guys doing out there? Like, I'm going to ask that more often because I need to ask that of myself as well. So, how are you all doing? Drop a comment in the chat. Let me set up my chat so I can see the comments because that would make a little bit of sense, right? Um, I am doing okay this week. What is today? Today is Thursday. I am excited that I have made it. I just need to stop thinking about it. I will start thinking about going on this show starting on Monday. And then I get stressed out about it because that means that I have to really watch here skin on my lips. Mm, it's dry here. So like how your lips start to crack? That's what's happening. Anyway, I start to get anxious about the show all the way on Monday. And then sometimes I will talk myself out of doing it because it's so much news and so much paying attention that you have to do. Like, I know it seems like I just get up here and I'm just like rambling, which I do often, but I do have to like pay attention to the news cycle and see what the heck is going on and try to like get it straight in my mind so I can come to you on Thursday and sound like I have a little bit of sense. So anyway, we are going to get into it. I just want to say too, again, like even today, I'm listening to MSNBC in my office at work. I keep my ear earbuds in and I listen to what's going on. And it was just so much that I really got overwhelmed. I'm like, oh my God, it's so much. Like it was one breaking news to the next breaking news. It was just so much. And I can't wait until tomorrow where I can just shut it down. And I try to practice from Friday to Sunday, not really on these news channels, not paying attention to what the heck crazy Trump is doing or, you know, what Biden is doing. Like I just disconnect from it all because I need that mental break. So I can understand why a lot of people, we have a habit of saying like people are so ill-informed, they don't pay attention. I understand why. Because like even today, I'm like, whoa, what is happening? So my suggestion is this, because you need to know what's going on, right? You can't not pay attention to the news, right? You need to know what's going on locally, but you also need to know what's going on nationally because what's happening nationally, specifically in the Congress, will impact you locally as well. So you do have to kind of pay attention to that. We have elections coming up. So you really have to pay attention. And when days are heavy and heavy news cycle days, it's too much. And I understand it. So what I would suggest is that you focus on the issues that really, really are important to you, right? I would just do this even if it's like once a week on a Friday or a Thursday, like what happened this week, right? You can do that. You can do like news briefs, right? Just to see quickly what was going on or the things that are important to you. If it's climate change, if it's you know, healthcare, abortion, if it's book banning, whatever the things are that are important to you, maybe focus on those things, and I always say this, it's really simple Google searches. Like, you just can't go wrong. And like, Google does this cool thing. Like, you could put, you know, what are Alabama abortion laws? And the first thing that pops up is a short paragraph of the most recent Alabama abortion laws, right? So, like, whatever it is that floats your boat, if you're a one issue voter, right? Like, you can pay attention to those issues, because I know, like everything else, people fighting in Congress, the different governors of all of these states, like, it's so much stuff. It's hard to keep up, and I forget who they are too. But again, I'm rambling, but I just wanted to say that because it is important. Or you can just watch here and we can try to figure it out together. There you go. So let's start with, I did read today that almost 300 Black churches in Florida are offering Black history lessons. That's amazing. And how shameful is that? Because in Florida, Ron DeSantis is limiting what can be taught for Black, not just for Black History Month, but just in general for Black history. Those things are limited. Remember, he wanted to get in PragerU, who's out here lying about like slavery and, enslaved people were able to parlay skills, just all of the nonsense, whitewashing it, rewriting books to take out, Rosa Parks was asked to move her seat, move to the back of the bus because of the color of the skin. Like, they're changing that. It was about the color of her skin. Like, so almost 300 Black churches across Florida has taken it upon themselves to just start teaching about Black history. And it's not just for Black History Month. They're just going to be teaching Black history. So kudos to the church for stepping up to do this. It probably shouldn't only be in Florida, because I'm pretty sure all of the Republican states in some way or fashion is whitewashing Black history. And that's really unfortunate, because Black kids are, it's like their cultural identity is disappearing. They're growing up really not having an identity, not really knowing their history, where they come from, the greatness, our contributions. It's like, if you don't know where you came from, anyone can tell you anything. People can tell you have no self-worth, you have no pride, right? Because where are you getting it from if you don't know your history? So much has been lost in Black history, just in general. So much has been lost, right? Like, I'm still learning a lot of things about like Black history. And of course, Black history is American history. Yeah, I get that. But it's a subset of American history, right? Because you absolutely have European history, Japanese history. Like, you got all of these histories. So, yeah, it's Black history. Let's call it Black history. It is what it is. So, kudos to those Black churches for offering that. It should be probably offered not only in just churches, it should be like community centers. Like, it just should be everywhere. There should be community centers where you could just go in and have books, since libraries are being banned, right? It should be community centers that are having book drives. Remember, like the what was it called, the Scholastic? Well, actually, they probably didn't have a lot of Black books in that either. So, gosh, parents, we have to take it in our own hands. I guess that is the lesson here. And Black history in these churches is not only Black people that are showing up, it is white people showing up. It's people who want to know all of the history, not just one revised version of it. So kudos to the Black church. I also read today that Brittany Gillian, the woman who sued, where was the Aurora, Colorado, her family, she sued Aurora, Colorado, because her family was stopped by police, taken out of their car, handcuffed, put on the hot pavement, because the police thought that they had stolen the car. It was her 6-year-old daughter, her 17-year-old sister was in the car, her 12 and 14-year-old nieces. So all girls, right? So they're all there. They actually was doing a fun day, right? It was a fun day. They were going to, like, you know, get their nails done, do some girl things. So they had gone to the nail salon, and the nail salon was closed. So they were going and getting into the car when the police showed up, had them get out of the car, handcuffed the mom and the 17-year-old. I guess the handcuffs were too small for the 6-year-old. So they made her and the other ones put their hands up over their heads and get down on the ground and put their faces on the ground, for 2 hours. For 2 hours. They didn't, and I recall this because I recall watching the video, because there's video of this, and the police aren't even telling her what's going on. The kids are hysterical, screaming and crying, saying, "Why? I want to go home," calling for their mom. Like, it was the saddest thing ever for 2 hours, until a sergeant came down, and then they finally figured out, because what it is, they thought she stole this car. Like, she stole a car and driving around with all of these kids. One, that should have given you pause, police. Like, that alone, you should have been like, something must be wrong here. This there has to be a problem. Two, why are you handcuffing this family? Like, why are you handcuffing this woman and family? Were they a threat? Did you think that this woman was going to run with a 6-year-old, a 17-year-old, a 12, and a 14-year-old? Were they going to run away? Were you not going to be able to catch these people? Why are they being handcuffed? If you thought she stole the car, why are the kids being handcuffed? What's wrong with y'all? Like, really, what's wrong with you? You would never. Every People always say, what does race have to do with it? Because race has everything to do with it. Because we know that for an absolute fact, that if it was a white family, they would have never done this. Ever done this to a white woman and her children. Would have never. If they thought that the white woman was in a stolen car, they would have broke their necks to try to figure out, no, this must be a mistake. She's with her children. She would have never done this. Like, they would have broke their necks trying to figure out how to get her out of this. And there's absolutely no way they would have put white children on the ground or handcuffed them. But because they're black children, they're worth less, right? And it may not be anything that's so a conscious thing, like, I'm just gonna pull this black woman over. It's a subconscious thing, that it's like a predetermined thing in the head, that if they're black, they're just less than, and they're more prone to committing crime, so they must have done it. Like, all of these things, right? You don't treat the children like they're children, you treat the children like they're adults, because why else would you be putting children in handcuffs? Why else would you do this? And then for 2 hours, and then all to find out that she didn't steal the car. The license plate was the same as a license plate from a vehicle that was stolen. I believe it was a motorcycle, but the states were different. Yeah, the numbers are the same, the states are different. Like, y'all, come on, do better. Like, I wish. Okay, here's the thing. The issue is, yes, she sued, and they settled for $1.9 million, which is not enough money when the attorney fees come out, and it's the mom, it's her nieces, right? And then I guess the children's money, it goes into a trust or something until they're 18 years old. But like I I'm glad she sued and kudos that she got money, but it doesn't stop until you start hitting the pockets of the perpetrators, right? The cities are taking pull. This is the taxpayer, basically. This is taxpayers are footing this bill because the city has to pay this. She sued the city and police officials. So the police department and the city, they're footing this bill. So it's the taxpayers. But if we had the George Floyd police reform bill, you'd be able to personally sue the officers. That would stop it. But because you can't get that passed, I don't know. Tim Scott was working on it. With who was he working with? Cory Booker, I think he was working on it with. Yeah, that didn't go anywhere. Right, it never was. So it hasn't been passed. So there's really no repercussions for things like this other than you get a settlement. There's that. I'm not sure if they were fired or not, so I can't really speak on that. I probably should have found that part out. Oftentimes they're not fired. I oftentimes they're not fired when it's police brutality and a killing. So they probably weren't fired. They probably were reprimanded. So that happened. So at least they got a settlement out of that. What else happened? Now let's get into unravel the stuff. There's something else before we get into like the politics of the stuff. Jennifer Crumbley, mother of the Michigan gunman, was found guilty of manslaughter, and she's going to be sentenced on April 9th. I guess she can get up to 15 years. I think per person that was murdered, it was 4. So maybe 15 for each. I'm not certain on that, but Jennifer Crumbley was found guilty of manslaughter. Remember her? Because I had to think about who was this because we have so many of these. I couldn't even remember which one this is, but and also I can't not say this. She was the first United States parent convicted of manslaughter over a mass shooting committed by their child. So that made history this week. And the reason why she was convicted of manslaughter, because a lot of people, some analysts was like, this is setting a precedence. So do you mean if, your kid goes out there and steals a car, are the parents going to get in trouble for that? Or like, oh, come on. That's ridiculous. I don't think district attorneys don't have that kind of time to be doing that kind of stuff. Because if that's the case, parents would just be in trouble for all of the crazy nonsense that kids are doing in school and all over the place. No, this was a very specific case because these parents did some specific things that was beyond bad parenting. It was just like if there could be malpractice as a parent, that's what these two people were. Because, and mind you, the husband is going to be his trial is coming up soon. I'm not sure of the date on that, but he may just go on and do a plea deal after seeing what happened to his wife. But this case, the son actually pled guilty too, so he's serving life in prison right now. This was the case where the kid was actually telling his parents prior to the shooting that he was hearing voices, that he was hearing demon voices, seeing demons. He was having some mental breaks. He was telling his parents He texted a friend saying that he thought that he had some mental issues. His mom was like, just, laughing it off. You must be on drugs. You don't have a mental problem. Like, this kid was actually begging for help and self-diagnosing himself, saying that he believed he had some mental issues and that he needed to talk to someone. I guess there was a project at school on not necessarily the day of the shooting, but there was a project at the school, and this kid made some concerning drawings, blood, murder, death, just the stuff that would concern you as a teacher. So the teacher, oh, and then let's just back up, right? So the kid was complaining about having mental issues and things of that nature. And then the parents decide, hey, I know how to cheer him up. Let's buy him a gun. That's what we're going to do. We're going to cheer him up with the gun. So that's what they did. They bought a kid that said that he was hearing voices and seeing demons. They bought that kid a gun, right? So that's past bad parenting. It's just past bad parenting. It's negligent, because you're putting not only that, you wasn't even locking the gun up. So now you have a troubled child saying that he hears voices, saying that he thinks he's having mental breaks. You buy him a gun, and then you don't even lock the gun up. So there's that piece. So on the day of the shooting, the parents were actually having a meeting with the teacher about the concerning drawing. The parents are there. They're like, we got to get to work. And the teacher wanted them to take their son with them, and they would not take their kid. No one checks his backpack. Parents cut the meeting short, went to work, and that's what happened. He shot and killed 4 of his classmates. So it's very unfortunate. I think that this is really good. I mean, something's got to be done, and maybe this piece can make parents more vigilant if they thought that they would be held liable for something that their minor child did. So this is a win. We can't get gun reform because Republicans are not in with that. So maybe if we start holding, and people are like, well, you should have held, the school should be responsible, gun manufacturers. You know what? Let's take what we can get, because we know for a fact Jennifer Crumley was not there for her son. And then they asked her if she could do it all over again, would she change anything? And she said no. And they talked to one of the jurors, and they were like, that kind of did it for them. It's like, you just don't have any remorse. And not only that, these are also the parents that ran. Remember? They just ran. They're like, I don't know where they thought they were going to go, but they just ran off. So that did happen. What else happened this? Oh gosh, I don't even want to. All right, I don't know where to start. Okay, so the border. I'm telling you, there was a lot going on this week. It's like it's all muddled in my head, because even before I came on, I'm like, I don't even know where to start. It's just so much. So the border deal package was released this week. Remember that the thing that Mike Johnson and the Republicans were like, it's dead on arrival. It's going to make the border worse. And they didn't even have the text of the package. So now that's been released, and they're still out here saying, oh no, it's horrible. It's just the worst thing ever. And the Republican Congressman Langhart, I think he is, who is a staunch conservative, real to the right. Donald Trump endorsed this guy. that guy helped create this immigration deal, and he's getting like threats from Republicans and media people. I don't know, was it Tucker Carlson or Sean Hannity? I'm not sure which one, but the calling this man on the phone and basically saying your career's over. We're gonna get you. Like, this is just Republicans really are. They've, maybe a few years ago they were going to the edge, but they've just dived off the edge at this point. Like, I wouldn't even call them a political party anymore. They're just like a bunch of thugs running around the government, like hanging out with Putin and stuff. Like, they don't care. So anyway, the package includes some really good stuff. Like, it's unbelievable. Okay, so there's emergency authority to restrict border crossings if the daily average reaches 4,000 over a 1 week span, or 6,500 per day, meaning Biden could shut the border down if it gets inundated, right? He can't do that right now, despite what Republicans are saying, despite what the trolls on social media are saying. There's not a door that you can just open and close whenever you want and just lock it. That's not how the border works. This would give him emergency authority to shut it down, right? But and that's what Republicans wanted. But now they're saying, no, that would make it worse. Let's see. It would raise the bar for migrants claiming asylum. So it makes it harder for migrants to claim asylum. That is what Republicans wanted. Now they're saying, no, we don't want that. That's not enough. That's gonna make it worse. What else does it do? It ends the practice of allowing migrants to live in the U.S. while they await their cases to be heard. Common sense, right? What's wrong with that? That's great. It's what they wanted. The migrants will not live in the U.S. while they're waiting for their cases to be heard. There is no catch and release. Gone. That's in the bill. It's getting rid of that stuff. But again, Republicans are like, no, it's just going to make it worse, right? How? How can these things make it worse than what it is? Emergency authority to shut the border down, raise the bar for migrants claiming asylum, end the practice of allowing migrants to live in the U.S. while they wait for their cases to be heard. Let's see. There's going to be hundreds more fentanyl detectors. I mean, they cry and whine about fentanyl coming across the border. So in the package, hey, they're like, we're going to give you more fentanyl detecting machines. Republicans are like, it's going to make it worse. What here have I just read that's going to make the border worse? You tell me. Which part of this is going to make it worse? Because it doesn't cover everything that Republicans want? Since when does governing work like that? Last time I checked, government and governing is about compromising. That's why you have two parties, right? That's why we have Democrats represent their constituents and Republicans represent their Republican constituents. And you come together and you make compromises for the good of the country. That's how it's supposed to work. Is it working like that? Nah, because let's see the package. More judges. Republicans don't want more judges either. More case processors. So the people who process, whether their application for asylums meet the criteria, they want more of those. So if you have more judges, more processors, more border agents, that's a win-win. Even like the head of the border security who endorsed Donald Trump last go around, says, hey, this is a great package. He's saying it's a great package. You know what Republicans are saying? He don't know what he's talking about. It's like the head of the fucking Border Patrol who's there in the trenches. Republicans said he doesn't know what he's talking about. This bill is trash. It's everything that they wanted. But Donald Trump said, nope, can't do it. I'm sorry. Because Donald Trump said so. Yeah, America. Donald Trump said, I don't care what's happening at the border. I don't care if fentanyl is coming through. I don't care if the border is wide open. We're not touching it. He's not a lawmaker. It's so baffling to me that Donald imagine if Barack Obama was like calling out Joe Biden, said, hey Joe, don't sign that deal. Don't do anything because I said so. And then getting all on the Rachel Maddow show and everywhere saying, yeah, I told Joe, no, don't do that. Or Michelle Obama calling up Joe Biden saying, nah, you know what you're doing over there in Israel? I'm going to tell you what to do. Like, what is this? Donald Trump is a citizen. Citizen Trump. How does he get to tell the lawmakers? But you know what? Why are we surprised? Tucker Carlson and Sean Hannity, they've been doing it for years. So what's wrong with me? It's like, why am I acting like this is some novel thing with the Republicans? This is what they do. This is how they govern. This is how they govern. They non-govern. But the cult loves it. And maybe they love it because they don't understand what governing actually means. It means getting things done. Like it's not, and it's funny, they always accuse Democrats of being divisive. And it's like Donald Trump is telling Republicans, he's even telling them not to work with the Republicans in the Senate. If that's not divisive, what is? Then what is? So that means that you don't really care about the border at all, right? Which we already knew, but we just have to keep reiterating it. You really don't care about the border. Because if you cared about the border, you would sign this. And Republicans are so dumb. It's like this would be a win-win for them. Not just for Biden. They could take a victory lap because they're getting exactly what they want. And they're so stupid and so stubborn that they can't even see it. Donald Trump could probably take a victory lap. He could be like, yep, I told them to sign it. This is my border. He could be claiming a border deal. But they're so blinded by revenge and fury, and it's gonna make him look good. But it's making them look stupid. And I swear, because Democrats are very smart. They already knew. They're playing the long game. They knew because they know Trump. That's why they agreed to all of this stuff that they didn't want to agree to. They agreed to it because they knew Donald Trump was going to tell them no. They're like, you know what? We're not going to fight for all of the things that we want. Just give them what they want. Because in reality, even by Democrats giving the Republicans what they want on this immigration deal, it still would have looked good for Democrats as well. And hell, it would have looked good for government. That's just the bottom line. Government would have looked good. Americans would have been able to say, wow, our government is working together, because the majority of people, That's what we want. It's only the way far right, crazy cult magas that just want to stick it to the libtards. They don't want to. Me, I'm okay with it because it makes sense. That's how governing works. I live in a world where everyone does not think the same. All Democrats don't think the same. There are going to be conservatives. There are going to be people who have a difference in policy. I'm smart enough to understand that. So, of course, we all have to work together for the common good. But Republicans don't want that anymore. It's not the old Republican Party, which I didn't agree with at all. But at least they weren't out here cozying up to Putin. Like, it's just gotten really bad. But so that's what's going on with immigration. Nothing is going on with immigration. Let's just say that nothing is going on with immigration. So also, this week, Citizen Trump has been denied immunity in the 2020 election interference case by the appeals court. A federal appeals panel ruled Tuesday that Citizen Trump can face trial on charges that he plotted to overturn the 2020 election results. Let's read the quote. For the purpose of this criminal case, former President Trump has become Citizen Trump. With all of the defenses of any other criminal defendant. But any executive immunity that may have protected him while he served as president no longer protects him against the prosecution. I guess it was 57 pages, and the panel was all on same accord. And that's probably what took so long, right? Because I believe it was 3 judges. And one of the judges, I believe, was appointed by a Republican. And one of the Democratic judges is like a moderate. And I forgot there's a Republican who, I don't know, she's close with. So, like, they're not Democratic hacks, right? Like, they're fair and impartial judges, which judges should be. I mean, I don't know what's going on with the SCOTUS justices, but these are fair and impartial judges. And let's be real. These judges listening to when they had to listen to the arguments and come to their decision, which, yes, it took a long time, but it took a long time because they had to make it foolproof and very to the point, using examples, using the words from the lawmakers. Remember, like Mitch McConnell saying, I'm not going to vote to impeach Donald Trump because I'm going to let the law take care of him, right? So actual congressmen were saying, nah, we don't have to impeach him. He's going to get taken care of after he leaves the White House. And even Donald Trump's attorney, when they were arguing about impeachment, was saying, no, don't impeach him. If he did anything wrong after he leaves the White House, he'll be charged and dealt with, right? Guess what? It's after he leaves the White House time and he's been charged and they're trying to deal with him. But now his attorneys are like, oh, no, we didn't really mean that. He has immunity in the White House and outside of the White House for eternity. Like, it's such a stupid argument. Like, every time I think about it, I get upset that tax money was spent for these judges to have to waste their time writing this, knowing that, yeah, dude, you're not immune. No, you don't get Navy SEAL 6 to knock off your rivals and have no consequences. No, we're not in Russia. As much as you want to make America Russia, We're not Russia. You don't get to do that. So of course you're not immune from that. Like what you thought, like that doesn't, if that's the case, just like they wrote, okay, so let's go back to what they wrote. And they wrote this as well. Like if we thought that he was immune, that means that there's no Congress. That means that there would be no legislating. Trump would just rule. There would be no SCOTUS. Like there would just be nothing because he can override and do whatever he wants. Of course he's not. Of course not, Donald Trump. You're not immune. We all knew that. Yeah, because if he's immune, does that mean that Biden's immune now and he can kind of do whatever he wants? Maybe Biden should just take Trump off all of the ballots himself. Like, is he gonna get in trouble if he's immune? Like, oh my God, Trump it's just awful. So now the big thing is Trump has until Monday to appeal. So of course, he's going to appeal, and we will find out whether, hopefully fairly quickly, if the Supreme Court is going to take this up or not. I'm pretty sure that the Supreme Court, it's an interesting thing because the Supreme Court already knows that Trump is not immune, right? There's no immunity. They know that. They're not going to change that decision from the appeal court. They're not going to do that because guess what? If the Supreme Court said, yes, Trump is immune, Trump can run, he can become president. He can get rid of the Supreme Court. They won't have any jobs to do. So they would never do that in general. They just can't because it would be lawlessness with Trump. I don't even think they really like him. They really don't owe him anything anymore. They already delivered for their people, right? Roe is gone. Affirmative action is gone. So the Supreme Court has done exactly what they were put there to do. What do they owe Trump anymore? They have lifetime appointments. He can't do nothing to them. He just can't. So, and again, they wouldn't do that anyway because he's not immune. He can't say that he's above the law. That means that he's just above the law. He is a man. Only him is above the law. Because if you really think about it, does that mean that Clinton can commit some crimes and because he was president, he's not anymore, he's immune because he's, you know what I mean? Like, so because that's what that really means, right? Like, if Trump can carry immunity until eternity, that means that everyone else, Bush and everyone else, could just be, they're immune too. Like, they can just commit crimes and be like, hey, but y'all said Trump was immune, so are we. Right. So you can't do that. But the issue is they could take up the case just to reaffirm what the appeals court said and just to put it as the law of the land and not just have it in the appeals court. The problem with that is the timing of it. I feel like I have to sneeze. I'm sorry. The problem with that is the timing, because that's how they could help Trump. Like, we know that they're going to say you are not immune. You have no immunity. They're going to say that. But how long it would take them to say that is the question. Because if they take too long, that means that his trial is going to be pushed way too far back. It's going to be too close to the election, or it would end up being after the election. So maybe they will not take it up. You guys let me know. What do you think? DA, hello? Trump is the brother from Gladiator who kept trying to. So, DA, you do know that I don't remember movies, so you can put all the movie references you want. I don't remember the Gladiator. I'm sorry. Is that what Crowe? Maybe Russell Crowe? Was that him? Anyway, so that's what's going on with Citizen Trump. What happened Next, I tell you, it was a lot going on. I'm really struggling here to get this stuff in order because again, a lot was happening. So let's talk about House Republicans pushed through with the vote to impeach Secretary Mayorkas. Yes, they did. They didn't care, right? They're like, you know what? We need to get the news cycle off of Trump's loss with this appeal court because his ass ain't immune. And we need to just go on and push for this impeachment and cross our fingers and wish for the best. Well, that shit didn't work because the best did not happen. So, if you don't know, because House Republicans are just anxious to impeach somebody, they don't care who the hell they impeach. Chelsea Clinton, Hunter Biden, Barack Obama, Michelle Obama, they just need to impeach someone. So the person that they have focused themselves on has been the Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas. They are mad at him because he's not handling the border crisis the way they want him to handle the border crisis, which is quite interesting because here they are trying to impeach him for not handling the border crisis the way they want to, but they are now, by not signing on to this immigration bill, having the border wide open. So it just doesn't make sense, and it never will make sense. So now, they want to impeach him, which again, impeach is for high crimes, right? High crimes, not for I don't like the way you're doing the border. Like that's not why you impeach someone. But they don't care because they're like children. They have a slim majority in the House and they're just going to do anything and everything. Kind of like Trump just throwing shit and ketchup at the wall. That's how House Republicans are. They are on a revenge tour for their orange god. So Donald Trump said, yes, go push forward to this. Because remember, Trump said this is retribution. So he's trying to get retribution. He's just trying to get it. So they held a vote to impeach Mayorkas. There was no high crimes, but they had to vote anyway, and their vote failed. 214 to 216. Mike Johnson, the speaker, looking like a whole fool. Nancy Pelosi would have never held a vote without actually having the votes, right? You can't tell me that Mike Johnson, it was Jim Crow. Jim Crow, that's hilarious. Now that's funny. You can't tell me that Mike Johnson did not know that he didn't have the votes. You can't tell me that. There's no way that Mike Johnson did not know he didn't have the votes. How do you not know that, Mike Johnson? It's four people. When you were going around asking people if you have their vote, there was a few people that was like, I'm not sure about that, Mike, right? Because I heard them when reporters were asking them. So I know for a fact he knew he didn't have the vote. But you know what? Donald Trump said do it, and he did it, and they lost. So then after they lost, Marjorie Taylor Greene, she has her presser because Republicans blame everyone but themselves. Kind of like Donald Trump. It's never his fault. So Marjorie Taylor Greene gets up there because now, guess what? They're pissed at Congressman Al Green. Why? Because they didn't think they wouldn't have had the votes anyway. So let's just say that. They would not have had the votes anyway. But Congressman Al Green left the hospital after he had his abdomen surgery, traveled to Congress to cast his vote. Now that is dedication. That is dedication. That is the reason why you should not throw your vote away. This man had surgery for a blockage on Friday. needed to be there because he was saying he had to be there for Mayorkas because he knew how hard Mayorkas was working to fix the border. He was even working with Republicans on this immigration bill. So he didn't want Mayorkas' name smeared. So he was not going to miss this vote. So him and his nurses and his doctors, he called Hakeem Jeffries and was like, I'm coming to vote. Hakeem's like, you sure? We want you to take care of yourself. And Al Green was like, I'm taking an Uber. And Hakeem Jeffries was like, nope, we'll send someone to get you. And they did. He was wheeled up in his wheelchair and his hospital stuff. And he cast his vote. And Marjorie Taylor Greene's pissed because that was, we were hiding him. The Democrat was hiding him and they knew what they were doing. It's like, no, lady, count your votes. You didn't have the votes. You knew you didn't have the votes. So they're not done. Oh, don't you worry. They're not done because, once Scalise, who was having cancer treatment, so apparently he couldn't leave the hospital in between. They're probably pissed. They probably called Scalise up on the phone, was like, I know you're having cancer treatments, but if Al Green can come after his surgery and cast a vote, how come you couldn't come? Like, I'm pretty sure they were calling him, trying to get him to come and cast a vote, because that's how crazy they are. However, once his treatment is over, excuse me, I believe in the end of February, they're going to try to call this again to have another vote. It doesn't matter. It's all performative because it's not going to pass the Senate, and Mayorkas will continue to have his job and continue to work on our immigration problem since Republicans will not do it. Just another embarrassing loss for Republicans. They should be used to it by now. Let's see what else happened. Hold the phone. Let's see. One more page. I was organized. Oh, wait. Yes. There was some news. I think I wrote it down too. Biden, the breaking news about Biden. I guess maybe I don't have to read it. I can just talk about it. So, breaking news today was that the special counsel, what's his name? Is his name Herber? I don't know, because I wrote it down. I swear, I just can't find all of these notes. He came back with his decision on the investigation that he did with the Biden documents that Biden had at his offices in Delaware, I think it was. So his investigation said that Joseph Biden will not be charged with anything, and not because he is the president, but he's not being charged even if he wasn't the president. That special counsel was a Trump guy, and his decision was kind of interesting the way he wrote it up. Like he did, compare Biden's situation to Trump's situation, because we all know that Trump had boxes and boxes and boxes of top secret documents in his bathroom at Mar-a-Lago. When the archives people called him up and said, hey, do you have my documents? Trump lied. Then, they were just trying to get the documents for quite a long time. And then when they finally came in to get the documents, he didn't give them all of the documents, right? And then he enlisted the help of his people to help hide the documents. There's some issue with the swimming pool and flooding some area, just all of the stuff. And those people too are in trouble. Those two guys. Remember one guy who was the IT guy who they were asking to like wipe the server clean, and he didn't feel comfortable with this kind of information and them asking him that. So he's the one who ratted out the other ones. So yeah, it's totally different than Biden, who was like, hey, I want to be transparent here. What do you need me to do? Deposition. I'm there. I'm not going to say redact anything in your report. I'm not going to claim some executive privilege. Let's get this over with. I want to be open and honest about these documents. Was it good? Hell no, Biden. What the hell are you doing? What the fuck is wrong with these officials? Like, why do you have documents in your house in these boxes and just writing notes about top secret stuff? That is absolutely ridiculous. But however, at least he was like, here, I found some more. Here, take these two, instead of like Trump. Because let's be real, the DOJ would have never, there would have never been charges on Donald Trump if he hadn't obstructed justice, because that is what he's being charged with, right? This, how long was it? Like over a year that they were trying to get these documents from him and he was just lying about it. That's why he's in trouble. Obstructing justice, not because he just had them, because they probably would have let him get away with that, which is ridiculous because he had a shitload of them. And we heard him on a recording with showing off with his friends at the club, talking about the documents and how he shouldn't be telling them this and how he shouldn't be showing them this. So totally different situation. The interesting about the special counsel, her or Burr, whatever his name is, his report, like, because he's a Trump guy, but he knew that there was nothing to hang Biden on, he wrote his report in an interesting way, as like he wrote it so that he's still giving Republicans nuggets of things to use about Biden, things that you would not put in a report, like they're not prosecuting Biden because basically he's an elderly man with a poor memory. Like, why would you put that in a report? Like, that's not, kind of subjective. Like, why are you doing that? Like, he did that because he needs to give the Republicans something that they can use. Because now I haven't looked yet because I just had an overload of stuff, but I'm pretty sure Republicans are using that text that the special counsel said, because that is the thing. He's old, his memory. You're going to say that about a sitting president? Like, why would you ever do that? But we know why. He couldn't prosecute Biden, so he has to give the Republicans something that they can manipulate and spin. And that's exactly what he did. And he also did something like we're not prosecuting him. Like, it's like, we didn't find anything because he's an old elderly guy, but we didn't find anything. And this case is different from Trump. However, we feel that if we did prosecute him, it wouldn't be successful. Like, it was just a weird kind of thing. And the White House noticed it too, because their counsel, came out and made a statement saying, basically Biden is vindicated. However, they don't agree with all of the statements in the report. Because in the statements in the report, they were kind of saying some cruel shit about like his age and his memory. So there's that. So Biden is vindicated for now, right? Because think about this, like, they can't even breathe a sigh of relief, because if Donald Trump happens to win the election, what happens? He's got the DOJ in his hand. What is he going to do? He already told us what he's going to do. He's going after his enemies. He will absolutely reopen this case and try to make them find something on Biden. Like, there's a lot at stake here. There's a lot at stake. And Democrats have to really act like pants on fire. Like, they really have to act like there's a 3-alarm fire, because there is a 3-alarm fire right now. Because Donald Trump is absolutely going to do that. And I would not be surprised if the Republicans take this report that special Donald Trump special counsel did on the Biden document and try to impeach Biden on it. I mean, nothing will happen. He's not going to have to step down as the president. But they will use that because Trump is going to tell them to, because it's all about how things look for people, right? Not the facts, because people are lazy and they don't want to look up the facts. So it's about the visual, what things look, the perception, right? So if the perception is, people hear that like soundbite, Biden impeached, or impeachment hearing for Biden. That's what they hang on to. They're not going to hang on to economy. They're not going to hang on to, oh, my price of gas is down. They're not hanging on to anything. People hang on to the negative, right? That's just how life is. And it's unfortunate because when you're picking your lawmakers and the people who are running your country, you really need to do your due diligence on who you're voting for. Just don't vote for someone because, like, well, I heard that. That's not how you're supposed to do it. You should be an informed voter. Just like you are informed with whatever your job is, you had to get training and learn how to do that. I don't know. Maybe treat voting like that. The minimum of it. It's not that hard. Hero for leaving the hospital to vote and for pissing off MTG. Yeah, no, I love that. Kudos to Al Green. It's like, that's what it means when your vote matters, right? His vote mattered in saving Mayorkas from being impeached. Every vote matters. That would be me in my hospital gown, just running up there to vote. Like, that's really cool. So kudos to Al Green. Local news before we leave. Local news. I'm getting better at it. So the state of Massachusetts jobs are focusing on skill-based hiring. So that means that they are eliminating college degree requirements for about 90% of the jobs. That is not for the jobs, all of the jobs in Massachusetts. It's for Massachusetts state jobs. So they are eliminating. I mean, this is kind of big, y'all, like for real. Like, I'm really starting to love the women who are running my state, Maureen Healy and Michelle Wu. But kudos to Maureen Healy, because that's a big, big thing. Because it's like, remember back in the day where people were able to get jobs based on the skills or how long they worked doing a certain thing. And then I remember there was like a switch at some point. I don't know the exact year, but it switched. A lot of people who had been doing jobs for just years, right? Just based on, they were like supervisors and managers because they had been doing the job for like a decade or so. But then all of a sudden it switched. And I think it switched because employers no longer wanted to pay those people without the degrees that big money, because the people who were coming out of college fresh that didn't really know the jobs, they could pay them less money to do the jobs. So that seems like when it started to switch, when like a lot of the jobs started to be like degree required, degree required, degree required, degree required. And then everybody went, because now everybody's trying to get a degree. And now everybody's in debt to these crazy colleges because the tuition is so crazy. So now in Massachusetts, the state of Massachusetts is like, hey, we're going to start basing our hiring practices on skills rather than the degree. If you have skills, you have time in on a job, you don't need a degree for it. And that's going to be about 90% of their jobs. So, hey, if you are in Massachusetts and you want to work for the state, and the state it's a good job, they got good benefits, I wish I could get into the state. You can retire from the state in 20 years and receive half of your pay. So it is a good job. Get up there, get on that website. I'll post a link and start applying to some jobs, because you don't need a degree. You do need some experience though, right? You do need experience and skills. You can't just be like, I want to be a Massachusetts architect for the MBTA or something like that. You need to have some type of experience, but get on there and see what you can find, because really State jobs, the benefits, get there, get there. Also, let's see. Oh, Boston is to spend $8 million to keep 3 bus routes free for another 2 years. So this is what you do with that pandemic era money that all the states got. Not go build prisons like Kay Ivey in Alabama is doing, the private prisons. No, that money was to help the people. So apparently, Boston still has some money. And what they're doing is they're putting that money into these 3 bus routes. These 3 bus routes are the 23, 28, and 29. Those are the bus routes that go into the hood. Those are the bus routes that a lot of Boston children take. Those are the bus routes that a lot of elderly people in those communities take. A lot of those people are below the poverty level. So it is a good thing that they are making those bus routes free for another 2 years using that pandemic money. I mean, what better way to use that money than to help the people it was actually for? So kudos to the states that actually out here trying to help the people. And that's what I mean about, you know, really knowing what's going on locally and nationally. And that doesn't mean you have to do it 24/7, but it does mean that, at times you may want to sit down and just get tapped in so So at least next time elections come up, you know what's going on in your state. I know what's going on with Maura Healey. I know the things that she's doing. And if I hadn't paid attention, Google. Right? You can Google pros, cons. Like, we've always been able to do things like this. So we got to do it. I know it's difficult. I know it's a lot of news. It was a lot for me today. I feel like I was rambling a lot because there was a lot going on and it was really hard to keep it all in my head today. I don't know why. I think I just got overloaded. You ever feel like your head is so full and then there's just so much more that you have to put in there and then things start leaking out the other side? Maybe it's just me, but it was a lot today. So thank you for rocking and rolling because I know it was difficult and I know I was rambling. But enjoy the Super Bowl, everyone. Who y'all rooting for? Taylor Swift. I just want for Monday to come so all the Republicans can be mad. So I gotta root for, Taylor Swift. Gotta root for her. Just kidding. You gotta root for the Chiefs. I know. Thank you, DA. Thank you, Brian, for popping in. I will talk to everyone later. And again, I hope you guys are having a fun Super Bowl party. I'm going to go get some rest. So good night, everyone. Bye.